Hey guys, in this lesson, I'm going to teach you two really beautiful chord progressions using those beginner chords, the C, the G, the D, and the E minor. I'm going to show you two different finger picking chord progressions we can use where we only use one finger to hold down the strings. We're going to hold down the bass note of each string. And sometimes you're not even going to need to hold down any strings when you're actually picking and playing this. So it's going to sound a little bit like this. Just sliding that middle finger. All right, so that chord progression, it was just this E minor to the C, to the D, or to the G, and to the D. But I'm just using the bass notes of each chord. So if you have seen some of my lessons on finger picking, the key to finger picking is you have kind of your thumb up here. It's assigned to the top three strings, right? So it's assigned to the bass note of each chord. So each chord has a different bass note. For the E minor chord, the bass note is that low E string. For the C chord, the bass note is the second string from the top, the A string. The G string, or the G chord, low E string. And then the D chord, the bass note is the D string. So if you need a little bit of help on some of the finger picking and like where your fingers are supposed to be, I'll include some lessons I do on finger picking up top and down below. But really, that thumb assigned to the top three strings, pointer finger more or less is always assigned to that G string, middle finger more or less always assigned to that B string, and then I usually just kind of keep my ring and my pinky finger on that high E string and just stabilizing things. So back to these chords, all we're doing is going into our chord position and we're just using our main finger for the bass note. And you can use this, I usually just use it with my middle finger because it's a little bit easier for me. So the picking pattern is thumb, pointer, thumb, middle. So thumb, pointer on the G string, middle finger on the D string, or thumb on the D string, middle finger on that B string. So to the C, same pattern, to the G, to the D, and I'm doing this D up here. It's part of that. If you've seen my lessons, it's called the slide up D chord. So it's kind of like you have your C major here, and you just slide this whole position here up 2 frets. So 1, 2, and we're just using that bass note right there. So I'll link that up here too if you need help on that chord and that shape. But really, you don't even have to do this D. For the E minor and the D, you actually don't even have to put any of your fingers on any of the strings, because all we're doing is doing this. To the C, to the G, to the D, to the E minor, to the C, to the G, to the D. So your picking pattern, it stays the same. It's always going to be the thumb, pointer finger, thumb again on the D string, and then middle finger on the B string. But depending on the chord, your thumb is going to, depending on the bass note of each chord, your thumb is either going to be hitting the low E string, hitting the A string, or just hitting that D string completely open, nothing on it for that D chord. So if you want it, you know, sometimes I'm in a habit of when I'm playing that E minor just to put my fingers up there. So if you wanted to just keep it on there. And then if you wanted to make it sound a little bit, just extend each chord, just do that pattern twice. So. So you're just adding the, so the pointer, thumb, pointer, after you finish the normal cycle. So. So it looks pretty cool when you're actually making the sound. You're actually making a really nice sound without even putting any fingers up here on the chord. So, so you can do that chord pattern. You could do a different one. You could start on the C, go to the G, E minor, to the D. So. C, G, E minor, D. So I don't know that I would, you know, normally do this type of playing when I'm playing on the worship team and playing for the church, because I don't know, I would probably just do some normal sounding chords, maybe take that ring finger off and play some more open ones down here. So I'm not saying to go onto your worship team and just start, you know, doing some finger picking up here without even, you know, having any fingers down on the chords. But this is just something really cool, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a dissonant, kind of darker sound because you don't have those high strings. So just be careful. Don't go into your Wednesday rehearsal at worship and be, you know, playing around with these finger picking patterns. Maybe just double check with the worship leader before you do that. But they're really fun to practice to play along with, and even just to sing, to make up your own songs to. And then if you wanted to, I've got a couple of other lessons where I show you different chord formations of these chords. So like I was telling you about the slide up D chord right here. So there's also, you know, we have like this G here. If we slide this whole thing up to the 9th fret, I believe, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, to the 8th fret. That's a C chord. So I did a lesson on this one. It's called the G-shaped C chord. And then if you slide it up 2 more, that's actually a D chord. So the G-shaped D chord. And you can do the same thing up here. So if we were doing the E minor, C, G, and the D, you could do E minor, open, C, slide down to the G, to the D, C, G, to the D. And then if you wanted to, you could also do the G bass note on the 10th fret, right underneath that low E string. So it would be on the A string, because that would be part of a G chord there. So you could do E minor, C, G, D, And you could do that with that same chord, the other chord progression we were doing, the C, G, E minor, D, C, G, E minor, D. So just a couple of really, really nice, beautiful chord progressions you can use while you're finger picking. So hope it helps you guys out. If you have questions, definitely just leave a comment down below. If you're confused, if you're struggling on any of this stuff, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Love you, bye.